We're working on elimination today, which is our third and final method of solving systems of equations. The elimination method is used when both equations are written in standard form. Both equations are written in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c, and then we eliminate one variable. Our steps. We need to make sure our equations are lined up. Our x's are in a row, our y's are in a row, our numbers are in a row. For the most part, that's not a big deal. The next step, we're going to add or multiply the equations to eliminate the variable with common coefficients. And then step 3, we're going to solve for the remaining variable. And then we're going to substitute our answer into either the original equation and solve. Should be a solve. I'm just going to erase that. Solve for the other variable. So into either original equation. It doesn't matter which equation. I'm going to go through that. So on our first one here, our x's, y's, and numbers are all lined up. And if I look at my coefficients, both my x's have a coefficient of 1. So I could easily eliminate by multiplying by a -1. So when I add them, I'm trying to get a variable to fall out. I could also multiply the bottom equation by a positive 4, so that my y's would have a 4y and a -4y. I'm going to go ahead and do that one. So top equation stays the same. And then the bottom equation, 4x minus 4y equals 12. And we can do this because whatever we do to one side of the equation, we did to the other. And now what we're trying to do is get rid of, so we don't have two variables because we can't solve. 4y minus 4y is equal to 0. So, and I purposely set that up. I always want to be adding. So I have 5x equals 25. Then I'm just solving equations to figure out what x equals. And now I'm going to put this information into one of my two equations. So I am going to just use the bottom equation because it looks easier. 5 minus y equals 3. And I solve. So -y equals -2. Divide by -1. Y equals 2. So right now my solution looks like it's 5, 2. I like to do a quick double check. So to check, I'm going to use the equation that I haven't used yet. So I already used the bottom. I'm going to use the top. 5 plus 2 times 4, or 5 plus 8 equals 13. And when I look at my equation, that's what I'm supposed to equal. So then I know that this is right. I usually box it in so that it makes it more obvious because there's a lot of writing on these. So let's look at another one. I'm just trying to see if one's more difficult than the other. This one here, we have, if I look at my coefficients of y's, I have a -10 and a -9. I could multiply both equations by numbers if I wanted to. But if I look at my x's, they're both the same. I can't have that. One has to be positive and one has to be negative. So I'm going to leave the top one alone. And it doesn't matter which equation I'd multiply by -1. I just wanted to multiply the bottom. So -3x plus 9y. Don't forget to multiply at the end. These two will cancel out. And I end up with -y equals -1. Divide by -1. Y equals 1. Now, you can get decimals for these, but I have purposely set up all these problems. You will not get any decimals. If you get decimals, you did something wrong, and you should be able to go back and find out. So again, they are purposely set up that way. And if you are, something isn't quite working, double check. The biggest thing is people forget when they're doing this distributive property here, they're forgetting to multiply by that last one. So that tends to be a common mistake. Once I know my y, I'm going to put that into either of my equations. And this one, I don't think there's any benefit to using either one. So 3x minus 10 equals 14. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. 3x equals 24. Divide by 3. X equals 8. So my equation, or my solution, should be 8, 1. And I'm just going to double check. I use the top equation to find my x value. So I'm going to use the bottom equation to solve. So 24 minus 9 happens to equal 15. That means my problem is right. Let's look at a story problem. So this one just means we're going to have to do some writing out. I know this isn't too much on your homework tonight. It's just I want to make sure that you're able to see it. We will be working with these quite a bit later. Suppose your class sells gift wrap for $4 per package. So that has to do with gift wrap and greeting cards for $10 per package. Your class sells 205 packages in all and receives a total of $1,084. So we're going to write two different equations. We're going to have one equation for money and one equation for packages. So we have money and we have packages. So two equations. I also need to know my variables. So I'm going to say x equals gift wrap and y equals cards. If I look at the money, gift wrap is $4 per package, so 4x. Greeting cards would be 10x for a total of 1,084. And then my packages, I know that I have gift wrap plus greeting cards for 205. So what this problem is doing is it's taking, and I now have to write my own equations, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my elimination on solving these. And again, we're writing equations more later, so if you're not quite getting the writing of equations, not a big deal. For some students, they like to be able to see ahead a little bit. When I'm looking at this, I am going to multiply my, I think I forgot my y on my top equation. It shouldn't be plus 10. It should be plus 10y. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply the bottom. So top stays the same. And then the bottom, I'm going to multiply this by a -4, so my x's will cancel out. And 28 times 4, 820. That's what I was trying to say. It was not happening. Add these together. These two are canceling because that equals 0. Again, that's my whole goal. 6y equals 1,084 minus 820. Or 264, divide that by 6, and I get y equals 44. So what this is telling me is I have 44 packages of cards. And then I need to figure out how many gift wraps were sold, so I would just plug that into, so x plus 44 equals 205. It's usually a pretty easy equation when you're doing these, so that x equals 161. So 161 packages of gift wrap. So we're going to definitely want to make sure that we're labeling these and not just saying x equals y equals. I like to double check and put them into that top equation. So 4 times 161 plus 10 times 44. And I don't always write it down, but I try to make sure that I am typing it into my calculator, because these are great that I know that they're correct. And it's always the same thing. I'm really looking at my equations and being able to multiply them to figure out different things so that things will, some variable will cancel out. It has to be a variable that I cancel out. It can't be my numbers. So go ahead and check the rest of these when you're done to practice those, and then you know you're ready for working on the homework.